Unruly is, in a sense, this lovely bubble of diversity and collaboration, and we work hard, but we love what we do. We think about the work, we think about the ideas, we don't really think about the clothes that people are wearing or where they've come from or how they look. That's not our focus. And it was only when we got our Series A funding, so this is 2012, we took $25 million in Series A funding. Up until then, we've been bootstrapped, got to profitability by bootstrapping ourselves, funding ourselves. When we took that funding, there was a bit more of a spotlight on us. And so then I did start getting asked to speak at events. Could you come to this investor event? Or it'd be great to have a Women in Technology event. Could you come to that? And that was the first moment when I realised that it was an issue. And then, boy, I realised it actually was an issue. And that there were very few female founders, even fewer female tech founders. A couple of awesome ad tech female founders. Alethea at Skimlinks is a great example. Emma Loisel, who is now Exchange Lab, was previously at another company. So I was finding some pockets of awesome women, but there weren't very many of them. And that, I guess, is when I realised that there was a bigger issue. I just hadn't seen it. So I think it helps having a diverse leadership team. And by diverse, I don't just mean gender, although I think the fact that we have a female founder has always helped us to attract brilliant female people, because they can see that being female is no barrier to success. So I think that's helped, but also having different skill sets and different personality types. So we built a lot of our practices around our recruitment process, and we always founder interview. So anyone who comes to work at Unruly today, before they get offered a job, will have an interview with either myself, with Scott or Matt. And I think that's really important, because I think that also shows people that we still really care about our culture and the people. And the best gift that we can give our team and Unruly, the best legacy for the long term, is fantastic people. And I should say that although I talk about the three of us and how we help with scaling there, you need policies as well. It's not enough just to have people at the top who feel a certain way, because that's quite fragile and that's quite brittle over the long term. So actually the policies that we've built out have been really important. Well-being isn't perks. And when people look at the office and go, oh, the office is amazing, I'm like, the office is amazing and it's a great creative workspace, but really what gets people thriving in a workplace is having the autonomy to do the work they love, to have a great team of people to do it with, and feeling in control. That's what makes a great workplace, and that's what contributes to people's well-being.
Rather than kind of free breakfast.
Yes, I mean that's nice, and we have free breakfast, but I don't think that over the long term that's not what drives well-being, and happiness in the workplace is really important. My biggest piece of advice for anybody is choose your company carefully, because without that it can be difficult to make headway, and I use company quite loosely, deliberately. So choose your life partner, because that will affect whether or not, if you're a mum in particular, whether or not you're able to feel supported when you go back to work. It will affect where you might be working, openness to travelling overseas, openness to flexible working between partners. Your friends. I know this is such a mum thing to say. Now my daughter's a teenager. This is just the kind of thing that I say a lot. Choosing your company carefully is important, because with the right friends, you can go far. But with the friends who don't support you, with the friends who would just rather mess around, you're not going to go very far. You're not going to achieve fulfill your potential. And then it comes back to the company that you work in. You want to be in a company that wants to invest in you and wants to encourage you. And that is super critical. So before anyone leaps to any company, I would say just find out about the culture, talk to the people who are already there, find out what it's really like, and ask yourself, could I make an impact if I was there? The favourite bit, I don't take advice very well, if I'm being honest. But I did have this great bit of advice from my college supervisor when I was doing the finals, the night before my finals. And he knew how terrified I was. And he wrote a little handwritten note in the time when there were pigeonholes, and it just said, courage, exclamation mark. And really, I think for a lot of people, that's all that's lacking, is taking the deep breath and going for it. And the difference between the people who kind of get on and do things and the people who don't is just some people take a deep breath and go for it. Doesn't mean that they're better, doesn't mean they know more, it just means they've taken the deep breath and they've gone for it. So that would be my one bit of advice.